Welcome back, everyone. So I have been researching this case that we're going to talk about today for little over a year. And it has become increasingly difficult to actually get factual supporting evidence in this case because a lot of parties have they've used the fact that there's an ongoing lawsuit to not want to talk about it, not want to release information. They've gone as far as trying to scrub the internet of actual information that was originally released when the facts happened. And then certain groups started up in support of the actual victim in the crime. And even they have pretty much shut down the release of information to the public in this case. In some instances, and in this case, I can understand it to a point, but I can't, it makes it difficult for me to talk about it. So I wanted to do this quick video today about it. First, I'm going to read you an article to refresh your memory in case you don't remember the victim in this case and the actual person who committed the crime. So this takes place at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City. And the victim in the case, Lauren McCluskey, was harassed, stalked, and bullied by not only her ex-boyfriend, she was blackmailed. And then when she went for help from the authorities, the campus police department, which in hindsight obviously was the wrong thing to do. She should have went directly to the police, but she believed that the campus police were going to actually protect her and to do something about this case. But I want to read you the article first. This is the most in-depth article on the case that is still out there that hasn't been scrubbed from the internet. Again, everything from major television networks to newspapers, articles have just vanished. They have been taken off of line completely on this case. Salt Lake City, a police officer who kept explicit photos of a young college track star from Pullman, Washington, who was blackmailed and then murdered by her ex-boyfriend, and even showed off the photos to another cop, according to records and media reports, which, for the most part, has been removed from the internet. University of Utah student Lauren McCluskey, age 21, of Pullman, went to the campus police in October of 2018 because she was afraid of her blackmailer ex-boyfriend, Melvin Rowland, age 37. The Salt Lake Tribune reported Sunday. Rowland, a registered sex offender, had obtained photos of McCluskey and threatened to release them unless she paid him $1,000, and she did pay him the $1,000 to get the photos. But as part of her report to the campus police, they received the photos, but were supposed to keep them confidential and then destroy them after he was brought to justice, which never happened. She sent copies of the photos to the campus police as evidence so they could investigate the claims and protect her. The officer assigned to the case then saved the photos, the explicit photos, to his personal phone and then showed them off to at least one other male officer, yet victimizing her again, bragging that he could look at them anytime he felt like it, according to the Tribune investigation. The incident was overheard by yet another officer as the two bragged and scrolled through the photos on his phone. Just 9 days later, McCluskey was shot and killed by Roland, who then turned the gun on himself and killed himself. The people who were supposed to help and protect Lauren were actually exploiting her. The murdered student's mother, Jill McCluskey, told the Tribune, "I wish that the officer had used his time to arrest a man who was committing the crimes against Lauren." The university said it didn't know about the inappropriate behavior and the abuse of evidence until after the officer had left the force a year prior. Although it occurred before McCluskey's murder in October of 2018, the only reason the officials looked into the case, said University Police Lieutenant Jason Hinjosa, sorry for mispronouncing that name, was because the Tribune's records request first brought it to their attention. He was long gone before we had any inkling that this incident even took place, and he had shown the photos to another officer. McCluskey's parents later filed a $56 million lawsuit over the police handling of the case. An independent review found that the campus police did actually little to investigate the case, even when McCluskey reported attempts to lure her out of her dorm room, the Tribune said. The latest revelation makes me wonder when we'll hit bottom, her father, Matt McCluskey, told the Tribune. Officers kept the explicit photos and later resigned and now works for the Logan Police Department in Utah. He did not respond to several requests for comment to the Tribune. A couple of key things that need to be made absolutely clear about what the campus police investigation into the crime. When she came to the campus police, the only thing that she brought to their request was, and that she wanted them to investigate, was the fact that he was trying to blackmail her for private photos of her nude and semi-nude, and that he wanted the $1,000. She paid the $1,000. She received them, and he said he was going to. He destroyed the pictures from his phone there in front of her when she paid up the $1,000. That happened then, and that was part of the report. In nowhere in her initial report, which I have seen, the initial police report that she filed with campus police. Now, again, the campus police department is not a actual police department. They do not have detectives who investigate crimes. These are just beat officers, and most of the time they enforce nothing but parking issues, fights, and other small matters that may take place, gatherings that are illegal without campus permits, things like that. They do not investigate crimes to a much more severe measure. Again, I'm not trying to blame on her, but she should have gone to the actual police department, not the campus police. She wanted them to investigate the blackmail. In her actual report, she never once made any statement about him threatening her physically or harming her physically or any instance of physical violence towards her. Everything was emotional in nature. And yes, that is a crime. But they weren't supposed to be investigating anything more. They just wanted she wanted the campus police to go after him and prosecute him for the blackmail for the photos. And that was it. She didn't ask for a restraining order. She didn't ask for protection. Nothing. And I get the parents are devastated. I would be devastated too if this happened to my daughter or to anyone that I love. But in this case, that is what they were actually investigating. Was the officer wrong in keeping the photos and then sharing them with anyone else or even keeping them for himself? Of course he was. He shouldn't have done that in the first place, and that victimized her even though she didn't know for those 9 days afterwards. She didn't know that she was being victimized, but she was, and she still was after she was killed, because there is no actual information on if the officer even deleted the photos that he may have them now backed up on a thumb drive or a computer somewhere at home. We don't know. We know right now the officer is not talking because obviously the lawsuit is ongoing. One. Two is he is an officer with an actual real police department in Logan, Utah right now. And for all intended purposes, he is an upstanding officer. He hasn't had any indications that he has done anything like this before then or after that. It may have been a momentary lapse in judgment for him. I don't know. I don't know this officer. I'm not defending him in his actions either. Is this something where the campus, the University of Utah, and the police, not the camp, they call them campus police, but that's just the wrong word. They're basically security guards. Is this something that they would have had the ability to protect her from? I hate to break the bad news to anybody who is familiar with this case, but no. Most of the campus police there don't even carry a sidearm. Some do, some don't. Most of them provide their own. It's sad that she's gone. Lauren McCluskey deserves justice in this case. I don't know if necessarily a $56 million lawsuit is going to get justice for her. I think if for what happened, what the officer did and his momentary lapse of judgment, they should criminally prosecute him for that. That even that momentary lapse in judgment. But Lauren took the wrong steps. If she really thought that her ex-boyfriend was truly dangerous, that he was going to do something like this, if she had any indication of it, and she really needed protection from him, she should have gone to the actual city police department, not the campus police, the city police. You go to the people who you know are going to protect you. Did she have the wrong idea about what the campus police could and couldn't do? And it does definitely appear so. In the end of the day, it doesn't change anything. Lauren was killed by a man who had lied to her throughout their entire relationship. And just so you are aware, Lauren had absolutely no idea that her ex-boyfriend was a convicted sex offender. She had no idea about it at all. He lied to her about who he was, where he came from, his upbringing, his religious background, everything. He was a true sociopath by everything that I have read from people who knew him. And he lured her in. And then when she got rid of him, he wasn't going to take it. And he killed her and then turned the gun on himself, and being the chicken little thing that he is or was. Thank you for joining me today. And I hope that as soon as this lawsuit is finished, that I will be able to do a second part 2 on this to update everybody on the rest of the case and what can factually be supported, because there's a lot more to it than this. Stay safe out there.